Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Tay, and today I'm going to be talking about everything that I consider essential if you're going to breastfeed your baby. I also obviously have a little helper today. The first thing that I would sincerely recommend, and I've talked about it in other videos, is a boppy pillow. I still use this every single day, every single time that she eats. We're using this. I would highly recommend getting a second cover because you will get milk on it, it will get dirty, and you're not going to want to wait until the laundry's done to be able to use it again. So I would initially get a boppy pillow with 2 covers. Yeah. The next thing that I would make sure that you have is plenty of burp racks. You obviously need this for the baby, but you're also going to need it for yourself in case you leak or the baby it unlatches or anything like that. You're just going to want to have something handy when you are breastfeeding. If I was somewhere or in something that I really wanted to make sure that I didn't get any milk on, I would actually take this and I would kind of use it like since you're going to be in here, if she's eating, if you take this and you put it under her head, it almost acts as a barrier between, oh I know, acts as a barrier between your baby and whatever clothes that you're wearing. And I talked about this in my newborn essentials video, but I just highly recommend getting like really large things to use as burp cloths. I use muslin swaddle blankets as burp cloths. We have these really small ones as well. They just obviously don't cover as much area, and you're just gonna want a big one, I promise. The next thing that I would consider an essential if you're breastfeeding is some sort of pump. Now, most insurances will cover a breast pump. I have this Spectra. Again, I talked about in my newborn essentials video, I would actually recommend the blue Spectra because it is cordless. They also have manual breast pumps. I've never used one, but that would be nice if you're on the go or out and about and you just really need to pump. I honestly used that for maybe the first 3 months of breastfeeding, and I really haven't touched it since. But I know that if I was going into the office instead of working from home, I would have been using it this entire time. So I would definitely have something. There have also been sometimes, like overnight, that Aurora's been sleeping and I've woke up and needed to pump in the middle of the night, and obviously you don't want to go in and wake up your baby or hand express in the middle of the night. You're just not going to want to. So would highly recommend getting a pump. If you don't have insurance that covers a pump, I honestly would get a manual pump first, only because unless you're planning on exclusively like pumping every single day to make sure that you can feed your baby bottles, if you're like me, I didn't really use it for that long, and so the amount of times that I used it, I could have had a manual one and it would have been a lot cheaper had I had to purchase that myself. The next thing that you are going to need are milk storage bags. Again, even if you are not planning on pumping, you will want something on hand for the times that you overproduce and you just gotta get some milk out of there. So you're gonna want something. I obviously bought more than enough of these. I did go through 1 box of these though before I quit pumping, and so not really sure. I'll probably donate these or give them to a friend or something. Another thing that is an essential when you're breastfeeding is some type of prenatal, postnatal, whatever you want to take. I actually did not start taking the Ritual vitamins until I was postpartum. I took a different prenatal vitamin that I found on Amazon, but when I had my daughter, I saw that Ritual came out with postpartum vitamins, and I'm going to come out with another video that's going to go more in depth about like tips and tricks to breastfeeding, and I'll kind of go over the differences between the prenatal version of this and the postnatal version of this. It just swaps out a couple things. That's really helpful. And so that is honestly why I switched to this instead of sticking with the prenatal, but you can definitely stick with the prenatal. I definitely recommend that you are on some sort of vitamin while you're breastfeeding your baby, because all of their nutrition is coming from you. And it's just, my doctor recommends it as well. The last thing that I actually consider a huge essential when breastfeeding is some sort of nipple cream. I have the lanolin cream just because that's what was sent to me in all of the little baby gift kits, and so I just stuck with it because I knew it worked. I have this one. I have a little travel one that I keep in the diaper bag. This was a lifesaver at the beginning because you obviously get very, very sore, and it's not like you can just, I mean, you can just take a break and feed formula or do something else, but if you don't want to do that, you're going to need something. I liked this a lot. I used it a lot, again, at the beginning, and then there were quite a few months that I didn't use it, and then she got teeth. Not that she was biting. I mean, she tried, and we got her to stop that, but just still a little bit abrasive even when they're not biting, so this will be your friend again at that point in time. Next few items that I'm going to talk about are items that I'm not saying that you shouldn't get, but they're items that you shouldn't necessarily get beforehand, or at least get a bunch of beforehand. I guess I kind of could have put the breast milk storage bags in that category. I think you should have some on hand. I don't necessarily think you should go out and buy 400 of these. Something else like this is the nursing pads. I will say I did use these initially. However, I honestly just did not typically leak. I did have sometimes that I did, obviously, but it just wasn't that bad. And I did this for maybe 2 weeks, and then quite frankly, it was just too much work and I couldn't be bothered, and I would just rather put on a new bra all the time than have to swap out these bad boys, because they would always get, every time I would feed her, they would get all bunched up, and I didn't like them. So honestly, I did not use them. I have basically the entire box left, and I bought 2 boxes of these before I had my daughter to try to prepare. So my recommendation would be that in a lot of the like welcome baby kits that you can get, they will send these little samples. This one actually has 2 breast milk bags, and it has 2 of the pads, and that honestly would have been enough that I would have realized, like, hey, you don't like this, we're probably not going to use them. So on that note, bras. I have a love-hate relationship with nursing bras. I bought 2 different types. I bought a type like this, and obviously what a nursing bra is you can unclip this, and then you can pull it down instead of having to pull your bra up. So I bought this kind. I bought a kind that is more like a typical bra, and both of them had padding. However, I really like this kind. I would never in a million years recommend that you buy this kind. These are comfortable, but they are the most unflattering things in the entire world. There is zero support in these whatsoever. Now I understand nursing bras aren't necessarily supposed to be supportive. Like there's no wire, there's no anything, but they do have like a waistband even. Like these, like they're just, like I guess it has one, but they just don't get a kind like this. Like, I will link these below. Just get this kind. It comes in a 3-pack, and they aren't pads in this one, but it does come with pads. They fell out in the laundry, and I did not put them back in. That is the other thing that I hate about all of the nursing bras that I brought, honestly. All of the pads never stay in place, even like during the day, since you're just going up, down so many times during the day, the pads are always consistently messed up. So I actually have one of each of those that I just keep the pads out all the time, because they're just like my at-home, like, lazy bras. However, the reason that I have a love-hate relationship with them is because I do think that if you're breastfeeding, you most likely are going to have to buy some sort of different bra. You're going to change sizes so much. I don't know that you're going to be able to wear your typical size, but I shouldn't say never. After the first month and after we kind of got the hang of breastfeeding, I never used the unclips. I always just pulled it up. But at the very beginning, when Aurora was very, very small, it was nice to be able to take all of that material under her instead of having it above, because I couldn't see her face. If I brought everything up, there was just a lot of material there, and it was just harder to see what was going on. So I would recommend getting them. I don't necessarily know that you're going to have to, or going to want to pull them down all the time, but I do think that having them is handy, because it's a cheaper type of bra for the fact that you're going to have to buy different sized bras anyway, and 2, you have the option to go down if you want to. The last thing that I would not buy before you have a baby is a haka, and I have the kind that you can actually put it like in your bra. That's why I got this kind. Obviously there's the type of haka that has like the thing that comes up, and you like squeeze that, and then it almost looks like this with like a thing on the end, and like you put that on. I got this kind because I didn't want to have to worry about Aurora kicking it off or anything, and it works really well. It still suctions, but I don't get any milk on the other side while I'm breastfeeding. I just don't. I maybe get a couple drops. There has been maybe twice ever that I've noticed that I was leaking from one side while she was feeding on the other. And even that, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't even enough that when I dumped this, anything came out. It all just kind of stuck to the bottom of this. So I'm not saying that this product is bad. I'm saying that I would wait until after you start breastfeeding to see how that's going to go for you before I would spend money on any sort of haka. I hope that you found this video helpful and that it helps you know what you should get when breastfeeding your baby. If you would